Hey guys, welcome to lesson 3.3, where we talk about additional probability sampling methods. So an SRS is not always practical. For large populations, it's very difficult to get a complete numbered list. So for example, if our population is the residents of the United States, it's very difficult to get a list of all the residents of the United States. So there's other methods that we can use, which also include chance, that allow us to mitigate that issue. And in some cases, there are better, some of those methods give you better coverage and are cheaper and more effective. So a couple key terms: a stratified random sample divides a population into different stratas. We'll talk about that. A cluster sample, you've got clusters, groups where you look at everybody in that group. Systematic sample, random digit dialing, internet panel, and multi-stage sampling. We're going to focus on these four terms. So stratified sample. You divide the population into stratas, groups that are similar to one another from within. So for example, I can divide a university by class: freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and then take a random sample out of each of those groups. So for example, this could be freshmen. This could be sophomores. And then I take a random sample of some freshmen, some sophomores. So the upside of that is that each different strata would be represented. So if I just took a simple random sample of university students, I might have way too many seniors and not enough freshmen. By stratifying and sampling from within each strata, it guarantees that I have either equal or proportional representation, depending on what I'm looking for. Cluster sampling: divide the population into small clusters, groups that are somehow similar within, similar to one another, and then randomly pick a few clusters and then survey everyone there. So for example, I can look at the dormitory dorm floors as clusters and randomly pick 10 floors out of the university. And then I would sample every single person in the cluster. Another example would be Walmart stores. So do an SRS of 10 Walmart stores in Virginia. Talk to every employee at those stores. So the idea here is Walmart stores would be clusters, so different Walmart stores are similar to one another. Stratified versus cluster. So stratas are different from one another. So stratas are different from each other. And clusters are similar to one another. So, for example, if clusters are Walmart stores, those are similar to one another. If stratas are different grade levels at the university, then freshmen are different from sophomore, are different from juniors, are different from seniors. Systematic sampling works by the first selection is random, and then after that, you picked for example, every fourth. So you would pick this one, skip, 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 pick the next one, skip, 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 pick the next one, etc., etc., etc. So this is helpful if you want to get opinion of, for example, people voting as people come out of the voting booth or the voting precinct or place. You talk to like every 10th voter. Or people going to a football game, you would talk to every 15th person entering the stadium. So you pick the first one at random, and then you just go every nth person. So it kind of makes sense because you're doing it systematically. How real polls reach people. So there's random digit dialing. So for example, if the area code in Southwest Virginia is 540, so you would dial 540 and then pick 7 random digits after that and make the phone call and ask the question, make sure that you're talking to someone who's relevant. So if you're looking for people in Southwest Virginia, you want to make sure that this person's not living in Ohio or anything like that. Multi-stage sampling basically combines a number of these methods together. So for example, here we have stage 1, group counties into strata with similar expected unemployment. Randomly select one primary sampling unit per stratum. Within each selected unit, randomly choose clusters of about 4 neighboring homes. Visit every household in each chosen cluster, about 60,000 housing units in all. So this is design of the current population survey, the source of U.S. monthly unemployment rates, combining stratification, cluster sampling, and systematic sampling into one survey. So yeah, at times it makes sense to combine a bunch of these methods. And you just want to know which one you're doing at what stage. Here's another example, a hospital satisfaction survey. A hospital wants patient satisfaction results for the whole hospital, but the departments vary greatly in size. You've got ER of about 8,000 patients per year, surgery of about 3,000, and maternity of around 900. So treat each department as a stratum and then do an SRS of about 100 patients within each one. So from the ER, out of the 8,000 patients, select 100. Out of surgery, select 100. And out of maternity, select 100. You can also do this proportional. So for example, you could choose, let's say, 160 here. Out of here, you would choose 60, and out of here, you would choose 18. So these would be proportional to the population, and it would give you another sense of how to do this. Another example, election day exit polls, clusters plus systematic. So here you would choose 40 precincts across the entire state. That would be, each of those would be a cluster. And as people are leaving, you talk to every 10th voter. So you would start with a cluster and then systematic. Let's look at a couple more examples. So a retailer randomly samples 20 stores from each of the 4 regions. So here, each region would be a strata, assuming the regions are different, and we're looking at 20 stores each, which would be stratified. Researchers randomly pick 5 city blocks and interview every household in them. The word, like when you interview every something from your group, that's often going to point you to a cluster. A call center reviews every 25th call after a random starting call. So this idea of every nth person being selected would be your kind of classic systematic. A pollster computer generates random telephone numbers to dial, random digit dialing. Another example, multi-stage reading study. A state wants to test reading levels without visiting every school. So they stratify the schools based on level, elementary, middle school, and high. And then within each chosen school, they randomly select classrooms, and then they talk to every single student in that classroom. So stratifying based on school type, and then choosing clusters of classrooms within the school. So stratified samples, stratas are different from one another. Clusters ostensibly are similar to one another, and you talk to every single person within a cluster, and systematic, you choose every nth person.